All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for The Dan Bongino Show.
You know, when I was doing my some of my advanced work in my second law enforcement job back in the Secret Service, they have this thing, and it would say on the prompter when the president comes out, VOG. And the VOG, that's more of a staff thing than a security thing. But I would say to the guys, I'd be like, what's a VOG? I was a new guy. They're like, oh, voice of God, like small G. You know that voice that comes over on the PA system? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. So I said to the guys today, I was just talking to Andy, and Andy's really good at this like AI stuff, gifts of social, all these little bits we have. I said, we need a VOG we'll just pop in the show with regularly, make it like a regular thing. You know, stupid shit liberals believe. And you got to fade out like reverse vocal fry. You have to like fade it out like VOG style. So Andy's going to work on that for us. I just thought because, you know what? This is a segment, in addition to the gifts, air quotes, of socialism, which are really curses and plagues, that we can use a lot. Because a recurrent theme of the Dan Bongino Show, me, is exposing stupid shit Libs believe. So I saw this tweet yesterday I'm going to put up in a little bit. I'm going to get to it in a second. Not a second, but, a couple seconds there. And I'm going to just show you how crazy these people are. Like stuff they believe you could look up just like that. You choose not to, but you could look it up quickly. And you just don't want to. I got that. I'm going to expose this Ro Khanna, this fool. And I got a guest for you today. Ami Kozak, hilarious. This guy's imitations are absolutely priceless. You've probably seen him on X. He does a Dan Bongino imitation too. I think it's quite good. Paula didn't think it sounded like me. I did. I was actually confused. I'm like, I didn't say that. It wasn't even me. It was him doing me. Folks, today, Sundays for Dogs. What's Sundays for Dogs? They are one of our new sponsors. You know, we love our dogs here on the show. I finally looked at the ingredients of my dog food. I couldn't even pronounce half of this stuff. I switched to Sundays for Dogs. They're absolutely fantastic. It starts with over 80% all natural meat plus superfoods like kale, ginger, blueberries, no fillers, none of these weird chemical blends. Gently air dried, looks and smells and tastes for the dogs like real food. Scoop and serve. Lucy loves it. Switch to Sundays. Go right now to sundaysfordogs.com/Bongino. Get 50% off your first order, and you can use code Bongino at checkout. That's 50% off your first order at sundaysfordogs.com/Bongino, sundaysfordogs.com/Bongino, or use code Bongino at checkout. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at All Family Pharmacy. Ladies and gentlemen, I recently went on a boat trip. All Family Pharmacy hooked me up. I said, hey guys, I'm going to be out there in the ocean for a while. There's no pharmacy around at all. You can't just knock on, Joey Bag of Donuts pharmacy. I said, can you guys please hook me up with some medications in advance? The Zofrans, the motion sickness, all that stuff. They sent me 2 packets, absolutely fantastic. Listen, that's why I recommend All Family Pharmacy. They're an independent pharmacy focused on making healthcare simpler. Instead of sending you from one place to another, they keep the process really simple. You complete a secure online medical questionnaire. A licensed physician will review it. If appropriate, they'll write your prescription. It's really that simple. Then your medication shipped right to your door. They have over 400 medications. Get a load of this. You want these? You can get them from them. Antibiotics, antivirals, blood pressure medications, ivermectin, wellness options we use, me and Paul both, like NAD, methylene blue. I love my methylene blue. I get my NAD from them. I've had a great experience. So visit them today. allfamilypharmacy.com/Bongino. Do it today. Don't wait, especially during boating season. If you're out there in the water, you got to have your medications out there. Promo code Bongino10. You'll save an additional 10% in your order. Or you can give them a call, 561-717-6794. Prescription required. Always consult a medical professional before taking any medication. This is not medical advice. All right, fellas, let's go. So while we do our VOG for stupid shit liberals believe, ladies and gentlemen, someone did it wrong in the chat this morning. They said SAIC. No, it's SIAC. SAIC, Special Agent in Charge. It's a term for a SAC, a boss in the federal government, Secret Service, DEA, FBI. It's SIAC. Stupid is a choice. Don't be stupid. Nobody wants to be stupid. Everyone's going to look at you and make fun of you like we do to liberals. But stupid is a choice. So don't be stupid. And definitely don't be Tim Walz. Tim Walz was the probably worst pick for a vice presidential, a major party campaign in modern history. And that's saying a lot. We've had some bad ones. We had Prell guy, John Edwards, and others. You probably don't even remember him. We have had some really, really dreadful vice presidential picks, some on both sides of the aisle. This guy, Walz, who ran with Kamala Harris, was the worst. Governor of Minnesota, I mean an imbecile of the highest order. This is what stupid being a choice looks like. This guy's the governor of a major state like Minnesota. So he's got this case in front of him where an alleged sex offender, very serious charges of abusing this young lady, he's got the choice. Like, what do we do? Is this guy deportable or not? Nah, let's not deport him. Let's pardon him. But let's not only pardon a guy, let's give a press conference and say, I can't think of a single reason why deporting a guy like this would make Minnesota safer. I could think of more than a single reason, but not abusing not abusing young girls is probably a good reason. This is what stupid being a choice looks like. Check this out.
I can find no reason how Minnesota will be safer or better if Mr. Vang is deported to a country he has not been to since he was a child.
Fox 9 reports Vang's victim wrote a letter to the board forgiving him, and they say that was a key factor in their move to pardon Vang.
Folks, this is not... Do you really want to live in a world like this surrounded by imbeciles and morons and sub-60 IQ idiots? The problem with Walz is he's not a sub-60 IQ idiot. He's actually really smart. He knows what he's doing. He's destroying his country too, on purpose. Stupid is a freaking choice. Don't be stupid. There's an easy way to avoid being stupid. The easiest way to avoid being stupid is just to go and look things up. It's not particularly hard. The problem is some of these people like Tim Walz are actually really smart, and they don't want you to look things up. So they become charismatic messengers of bullshit. They become, reverse Paul Revere's, right? The morons are coming. These people are smart and calculating. Their biggest fear, and I'll address this later with Ami during our interview, is that the isolation from the truth, that's an essential component of gaslighting, to get people to believe bullshit. Unarmed black men are being mowed down by the thousands by cops. That's an actual number of people you can prove if that was true. You can look that up. The way to get people to believe this bullshit is to encourage them to not look it up. Matter of fact, one of the components of gaslighting, getting people to believe untruths, is to, in fact, isolate them from the truth. Keep them from the truth. Social pressure to not look it up and just say the talking point rather than do the actual homework. This is what this looks like when calculating people try to isolate you from the truth. This Democrat Socialists of America New York City co-chair, she went on Fox News the other day. I don't know why, just humiliate herself. I have no idea what she thought. I'm glad she did. Great, now we can see it. However, she's asked a really simple question about border control, immigration. This is not complicated, right? Now, she knows the answer to this question, but she doesn't want to give you the answer because she doesn't want to expose what stupid being a choice looks like. And open borders are stupid. It creates a massive magnet for illegal immigration, creates an incalculable national security problem. Open borders, like any moron with, forget sub 60, a sub 20 IQ can figure out you don't just open the door to your house. You put a lock on the door so you choose who comes in and who doesn't. It works for a country too. Watch what she does when she's asked a simple question about open borders and illegal immigration. Watch the deflection. You will see this common trait amongst liberals, socialists, progressives, communists. You'll also see it with shitty Republicans too. They will never answer the question. They do this diversion tactic. It's a way to isolate people from the truth. The truth hurts when it comes to things like open borders. That's why they won't say it. Check this out.
I really believe in open borders and not having deportations. That's just incredibly contrary to law enforcement and security.
America has a really long history of welcoming working class immigrants. My grandmother and her mother came through Ellis Island and worked from Germany and worked as seamstresses. I mean, we believe that
criminal illegal aliens in the country, don't they need to be removed?
We believe that demilitarizing the border, that violent oppression of working class immigrants who come here is not something that most Americans want. And I think the backlash to President Trump's policies really show that.
Just answer the freaking question, Grace. Just answer the question. It's a simple question. It shouldn't be hard. But notice how calculated. This woman's not stupid. You can tell by the calculated tactical answer in response to a simple freaking question. Do you guys support open borders or not? It's a binary. It's a yes or no. Just answer the question. They can't, because when the truth is ugly and they know the truth is not popular amongst logical, reasonable people who are not going to agree to open borders, who are not going to agree to defund the police, they have to do the euphemisms, word games. And that's the way zombie lies stay alive. Now, I did not invent this term, zombie lies. I am not a huge fan, obviously, of Bill Maher. However, I like to understand the left. And I believe, and I'll tell you, unpopular position or not, I don't care because it's true. I do believe that Bill Maher, although we share very few ideological components in common overlap-wise, I do believe he at least makes an attempt to understand the right. It's not some reward. It's not me praising him. We don't need to do any of that. Forget it. Don't fall in love with people, fall in love with ideas. But he went and had dinner with President Trump. I think he makes an attempt. He brought this up, this idea of zombie. Oh, look, she's on right now. Check it out on Fox. They're covering this again from yesterday. Why do they all every single time? Maher talks about zombie lies. You see that? Damn infighting spills. You missed it. Your trigger finger's too slow. Zombie lies are lies that persist despite the obvious ability of people to go look up and determine it's a lie. Again, thousands of black men are being shot by police officers unarmed every single year. You can look that up. How does this zombie lie persist? And it persists because of people like this woman on Fox and others who isolate people from the truth and make people not want to do their homework. There's about a minute of a segment he did on this. Again, it is worth your time. We've got to understand them because they're making no effort to understand us. Check this out.
If we want to save our country, we should follow the advice good liberals have given for decades and learn from other countries. Especially those beacons of progressivism like Canada, England, and Scandinavia. And I agree we should, as long as we're honest about the lessons we're learning, and as long as we're up to date on the current data, such as the unemployment rate in the U.S. is 3.8%, and in Canada it's 6.1%. And of the 15 North American cities with the worst air pollution, 14 are in Canada. I'm not citing these stats because I have it out for Canada. I love Canada and its people and always have. But I hate zombie lies. Zombie lies. That's when things change, but what people say about them doesn't.
Folks, I can't really think of a better term. Again, we don't have to agree on ideological components of why we believe in a political movement or not, but the term is quite accurate. Zombie lies are everywhere. Hold that Plattner thing I was going to do. Maybe we should jump right into it here. Here's a zombie lie. This is Mamdani, the communist mayor of New York City, saying something so ridiculous. Again, you wonder how sane people fall for this bullshit every single time. There is this big, huge monster zombie lie out there that somehow socialism is more effective than capitalism as a system of organizing people into a system of government, that it's good for economic growth and prosperity and good for people. Sharing is caring. Barney the freaking dinosaur. We should all sit around and roast s'mores and shit and sing together like that. Socialism's just sharing. Well, how come you don't share your stuff? Because socialism doesn't work because it defies the human incentive to take care of your family and yourself before you'll take care of anyone else. It even works within your own family, correct? You take care of your daughters and sons and spouse before you take care of your second cousin. Doesn't mean you don't like your second cousin. That is how God designed human beings. You can't fight it. But this zombie lie out there, as he refers to them, that somehow socialism has worked anywhere it's been tried, continues to persist because eloquent, charismatic messengers like Mamdani and others continue to insist to gullible people that this thing is the better system and we'll show you. Just don't look it up and don't ask us to show you. We'll just tell you we'll show you. Here, this is Mamdani. They're bringing up this exact same point. Check this out.
This process, I've been reminded of the words of the Austrian economist Friedrich Hayek. If socialists understood economics, they wouldn't be socialists. If these past months have shown us anything, it is that socialists not only understand economics just as well as the capitalists who came before, but that we can solve their years of mismanagement through an embrace of our principles. There is nothing fiscally responsible about balancing the budget on the backs of working people.
Okay, we can look this up, dude. You can just look it up. Matter of fact, ask Grok. This is a tool available to you guys and ladies, too. This is not like a Dan Bongino original. Oh, look, he's got this proprietary Grok. So, no, it's out there for you, too. You can just try it yourself. Here's a screenshot of my phone after I put this. You can try and put it in Grok yourself. You think I'm making this up? Can you list for me successful examples of socialism based on economic data? No. No large-scale examples of pure socialism have produced sustained economic success by standard metrics like high GDP per capita, long-term growth, innovation, or broad prosperity comparable to advanced market economies. It's right there. It's right there. How in the era of instant information exchange, the internet, a global economy, X, Grok, Gemini, ChatGPT, Anthropic, OpenAI, information at your fingertips. You've got them too, unless you're missing hands. I feel bad for you. Ask someone else to do it. Use Siri voice activation, whatever it may be. Surprised it didn't kick off on my phone. Go ask Amazon's Alexa thing or whatever. Just ask them the same question. Why do you believe the lie? The answer is because you want to. You want to believe the lie. But isn't that more indicative of your deficit in kind of character than anyone else around you? You could look up the truth. You just choose not to. This is the tweet I was talking about yesterday. And this is a show, you know, I know you say in this business you're excited about shows a lot because you are, is what I do for a living. But I've been really excited to cover this because I saw this tweet yesterday and I thought, this is the liberals summed up. You know what? Before we get to it, I'm just going to take a quick break here because I'm going to go through this. But this is from Midwestern Patriot at MWPatriot01 about verifiably false things almost every progressive believes. They're verifiably false and they are easy to look up. You can do it yourself. Why do people choose to believe this stuff? SIAC, kids. Stupid is a choice. Don't be stupid. Folks, if you're a homeowner, you probably thought, maybe I should give American Financing a call to refinance and pay off this credit card debt. Probably be a good idea. And sometimes you second guess yourself because of low mortgage rates you currently have. But listen, that low rate, it's not saving you if you're drowning in credit card debt, especially with interest rates sometimes at 25% or more. That's math. Doesn't work for you and that nobody wants to face. But it's costing you thousands. American Financing been with me a long time. Really like this company. Here's the truth. If you're only making minimum payments, that debt's going to follow you for years. It's going to be hard to get rid of. That's why people are calling American Financing. They've been sponsoring this show for a long time. I get great reviews on them because they're saving customers an average of $800 a month by using their equity to finally break free from credit card debt. You owe it to your family to see what's possible. No upfront fees. There's no pressure. Costs you nothing to find out what you could save every month. And if you start today, you could delay 2 mortgage payments. Call them today. Here's the number. American Financing. It's 888-994-7660. That's 888-994-7660. Or you can visit them online. It's a .net address at americanfinancing.net/Bongino. americanfinancing.net/Bongino. Thank you, American Financing. We appreciate it. So back to the tweet. This is a great, fantastic list by Midwestern Patriot of stupid shit liberals believe, VOG. Thousands of unarmed black men are killed by the police every year. There's a transgender genocide happening right now in the U.S. Most black people don't know how to get an ID for voting. Real socialism hasn't been tried. The top 1% don't pay tax or pay very little. Progressive movement was responsible for ending segregation. Most of the Democrats down south changed parties in the 60s or 70s. Al Gore requested in 2000 a full statewide recount in Florida. That one drives me crazy. Trump is a convicted rapist. Trump called white supremacists fine people in Charlottesville in 2017. So I thought, I'll do you libs a favor, okay? Because you don't want to look it up because stupid is a choice and you've isolated yourself from the truth because it's more comfortable to believe in these ridiculous ideas and hate a group of people based on fallacies than it is to do actual homework. We did it for you in the Dan Bongino Show. I'll accept your gratitude later. You're welcome. Throw this up. So we put it up on the screen here. And here's a fact check of each of these 10 points from the ex-post by Midwestern Patriot. First, thousands of unarmed black men are killed by the police every year. How many times have you heard this? I mean, listen, I got to tell you, if I'm black, you're running around terrified. You think like some random cop is just going to show up and shoot you in the back for no reason because thousands of people are being mowed down. I'm concerned about any police use of force incident. I'm a civil libertarian. We had a robust process in the NYPD, Secret Service, in the FBI. We made sure it's a very serious thing to use force. However, this is not true. Verdict, false. Police fatally shoot roughly 1,000 people per year in the U.S. and are killed at a higher per capita than whites, but the absolute number of unarmed victims are far lower. Over 2016 to 2022, there were 118 fatal shootings of unarmed black people. Total unarmed fatal shootings across all races are typically in the range to 50 to 100. Thousands would require orders of magnitude of exaggeration. Disproportionate rates exist and warrant scrutiny, but the scale claimed is not supported by the data. You can just look that up. It doesn't say it's not an issue. It doesn't say it's not a problem. It doesn't say it's not worth scrutiny. It just says, like, if you're going to claim that this is the number to exaggerate a problem, you're probably not going to get a solution to the problem because the problem you're saying exists at that level doesn't exist. You just made that up. Here's another one. There's a transgender genocide. False, exaggerated, hyperbolic. It has a very specific meaning. Annual murders of transgender, gender diverse people in the U.S. are tracked in the low dozens. Folks, again, no one's suggesting that transgender people, that they should suffer any violence. There's a genocide, meaning they're being exterminated in mass because of their transgender claim status. That's just not true. You can go and look it up, bro. It's not hard. The answer's right there. It's right there on the show. You can pause that, screenshot it. You can even do it yourself. All right, so that's 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10, maybe the other 8 are correct. Most black people don't know how to get an ID. You've heard this often. We can't have voter ID. You know, those black people, they don't know how to get an ID. I'm like, what? Justin's like, dude, that sounds a little like racist-y. I don't know. I thought so too. I thought it sounded kind of racist-y myself. Verdict, false. Surveys and studies show disparities in possession of government-based ID, with black Americans more likely than whites to lack one. However, this does not mean most lack ID or don't know how to get one. There's a way to figure this out. You could just ask black people, do you know where to get an ID? Ami Horowitz did a whole video unit. You can just go get one. It's not hard. They can figure it out. Real socialism hasn't been tried. We hit this one before. Verdict, mostly false. It's been tried over and over again. And as we just indicated by the prior AI query on socialism, wherever it's been tried, it has failed because human beings need to work and want to work and add value, but they want to create value in businesses and wealth and go to work and bust their ass and be coal miners or engineers or pilots because they want to benefit themselves and their family and build a nest egg for them. They don't want to work for other people who may or may not want to work. This is not hard. You can look this stuff up yourself. Oh yeah, exactly. Every single time this has been tried, socialism, it has a 100% success rate of failure. I didn't even get into the details. Tens of millions of deaths, collapsed economies and political systems, hyperinflation, shortages, mass immigration. This sounds lovely. If you're a moron, if you follow the SIAC rules, stupid's a choice. It's also a deadly one. What about the top 1% don't pay taxes or very little? We know all that's bullshit. The top 1% pay an average effective federal income tax rate of 23 to 26%. They also pay roughly 40% of all the taxes. 4 out of every $10 of taxes is paid by 1 out of 100 people of earners out there. You can dispute that. You can say, I want them to pay 100%. It's stupid. You're a moron. It would collapse the economy tomorrow. But at least you wouldn't be lying. You can look this up. It's right there, brothers and sisters. This one's hilarious. The progressive movement was responsible for ending segregation. Are you shitting me? Do you know the history of the Republican Party? The Republican Party, founded in one of its bedrocks, was destroying the slavery abomination in the United States. This is like history. It's not even 101. Like 101 suggests you have to get into school to figure it out because it's an organized class. History 101. This is like just history. Like this is like Google, Grok, anything else. You can just put this in a search. Is Bing still a thing? I don't even know. Why was the Republican Party founded? Did the Democrats end segregation? Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind what I'm not saying, because I'm not interested in creating my own series of zombie lies. I'm not suggesting to you now that every living Democrat now is responsible for Democrats in the segregationist era who basically instilled Jim Crow and supported slavery. That's not the case. They use that against us all the time. The founding fathers, they didn't destroy slavery right away, so we're all guilty later. There's no such thing as generational guilt. You're not responsible for the sins of your fathers. I'm not telling you that the Democrat Party now is responsible. The Democrat Party back then was the slavery party. That's just a fact. Anyone telling you this, like, be proud of the legacy of the Democrats, it was progressives who ended segregation, are totally full of shit. They're just making that up. This is the Southern strategy BS. Most of the Democrats down south changed parties in the 60s or 70s. Verdict, mostly false, oversimplified. Folks, don't you find it a little strange as the South moved from de jure to de facto racism to being very diverse and open, it became more Republican? You don't think, how does that even marry up with common sense? What do you think? The South is a bastion of progressive deep blue values right now? Are you crazy? Are you smoking the crack pipe? Put it down. It's really bad. Remember that commercial when we were kids? They played on the radio. Crack is whack. Crack is whack. Put it down. Put it down. Crack's no good. This one's kind of wonky, so I'll just, but the 2000 election, like Bush stole the election in 2000. Listen, I'm no big fan of the Bush presidency. I think we could have done a lot more. However, ladies and gentlemen, Al Gore never requested a statewide recount in Florida. You can look this up, and was never ahead in any single ballot count ever. How the hell Bush could have stole Florida when Al Gore never took the lead at any point is beyond me. You just made that up. Again, you can look it up. You just don't want to because you want to believe bullshit, a stolen election narrative with no evidence to back it up. Trump is a convicted racist. We know this is false. Goes into the E.G. and Carroll case. They just made that up. Totally not true. And by the way, the Trump team will sue you and they'll win if it's because it's not true. So promote that bullshit at your own expense. And last, the fine people hoax, verdict false. We know it's completely untrue. He actually said the opposite, that there are very fine people on both sides. He's not talking about it. He was clear to put that in there, white supremacists. He was crystal clear. Again, you could just look this stuff up. You don't want to because SIAC, man, stupid is a choice. Folks, this stuff is exhausting, man, but it's necessary. There's always a third party listening. I know I'm not going to get through to any hardcore liberals today because you choose to isolate yourself. Stupid is a choice. You've taken that road a long time ago. There was a fork in the road. Don't be stupid, be stupid. You went down the be stupid road. It's hard to pull you back. It's hard to pull you back. And one of the reasons it's really hard to pull people back from that fork in the road on the be stupid path is because as you're walking down that road, you've got other stupid liberals on both sides of the road with palm fronds and stuff, like waving you down and like spraying you with nice cool water and, giving you nice chocolatey treats and everything. Oh, because they want you down the stupid path. They need you down the stupid path. It's hard to turn around and go, oh my gosh, I could keep walking. All these people are feeding us and they look at this, they love us. They're anointing us with oils and everything. They need you to be stupid. That's why you see people like this Ro Khanna who are appealing to leftists. Because when you're walking down the stupid path and you know everything you believe in is a lie, you don't want to be the emperor has no clothes guy, and you don't want to be exposed for having no clothes on yourself. So we all pretend we're not naked. Look at that fine robe, that tassel. That's not a tassel. Not a tassel. What's so funny, Jess? I'm talking about a tassel. That's not a tassel. That's not a tassel. No one wants to do that. Because then they're all going to have to look at each other. Man, a lot of tassels here. A lot of tassels. No one wants to do that. That's why people like Ro Khanna are embraced. The biggest fraud in Congress. Folks, there are worse Congress people, not many, but there are. AOC, and there are worse. Rashida Tlaib. However, fraud-wise, this cat is number one. I've never seen a faker, biggest fraud. Like I said yesterday, this is the fakiest of fakers up on the hill. The guy doesn't have a shred of human decency. Here's his tweet he put up yesterday. Again, with the Bernie Sanders bullshit, the millionaires, and we can't stand these millionaires, going after the millionaires, despite the fact that millionaires are the ones who are financing this entire tax base. Here's his tweet. Wall Street folks are celebrating Elon Musk for creating 4,400 millionaires. Fine. Did any of them celebrate Joe Biden or Chips and all this crap for creating? No, we didn't, because Joe Biden didn't actually create anything. Joe Biden is a parasite. Our barometer should be opportunity and stability for the majority, not simply wealth for the few. He is the few. He is the few. And unlike our awesome Marines, the few, the proud, the Marines, this guy is the few, but he's not proud. This guy's an idiot. Elon Musk creates 4,400 millionaires. He's mad at Elon Musk for creating wealth for people in this amazing company and series of companies Musk created. Yet when you look up, and again, when you go and you don't isolate yourself from the truth, and you go to like a ChatGPT, is Ro Khanna a millionaire? You get a very weird answer for a guy who pretends to hate millionaires. Yes, based on publicly available financial disclosures, it's very likely Rep. Ro Khanna is a millionaire. Now, these are guesstimates. I know this because I see this about me online. But they're probably not that far from the truth. One of them estimated a minimum net worth of about $27 million. Minimum. With most of the wealth attributed to his wife, whose family is very wealthy. I thought that would leave this up and say, I thought that was a bad thing. I thought millionaires were bad. I thought this was the few, like the isolated, terrible millionaires. However, recent analysis of his 2024 financial disclosures indicate that the family's reported assets are in the range of 99 million to more than 300 million. Folks, listen, I love capital creation and wealth, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of dough, man. I thought I'd row. Okay, you can get rid of it now. I thought you didn't like it. You're a millionaire, according to a high-end analysis, 300 times over, low-end 27 times over. I watched this thing one time, was it a video on X, or maybe it was a post, and the guy was saying he doesn't wish upon anyone more than like $150 million, because after $150 million, like everything loses its value. For Ro Khanna's high-end estimates, he's worth twice that. Everything's lost its value twice. I'm not telling you I agree with that. I'm just telling you the guy's full of crap. He's a total fraud. But again, when you walk down the be stupid path, when you took the fork in the road, don't be stupid, be stupid. You don't want to be the one exposed for your tassel hanging out. And you don't want anyone to scream, look, that's not a tassel. So we all pretend in our progressive movement, not we, not me, I'm not in it, but you all pretend to be stupid together. A perfect example is, here's Ro Khanna on Plattner, hat tip the great Maze Moore on X. Now, Ro Khanna, like everyone on this show, knew the guy had a Nazi tattoo. And I'm sick of the Plattners. It's not even about Plattner. Forget it. It's not the point. The point is, stupid is a choice. They chose to be stupid, a lot of voters. Or when walking down the stupid path with Plattner and being told, hey, man, not only has that guy got a tassel hanging out, but he's naked, he's got a Nazi tattoo. Like, that's probably not a good idea. They all chose to be stupid and blind as well. Watch this clip from Maze Moore, side-by-sides of Ro Khanna's evolving, air quotes, because he knew the whole time he's full of shit, position on Plattner. And you say to yourself, does this guy have a genuine bone in his body? The answer is definitely 100% not. Check this out.
He was in a dark chapter of his life. He became an alcoholic, and there were years of acting in ways that he really regrets. And he asks for grace and redemption, and he thinks he's a changed person, a transformed person. I believe him. Those years that he came back were not the best years of his life. Most of us have not led perfect lives. Yeah. Raise your hand if you have. I mean, there may be some.
Speaking on the record about their relationship, she said he left an AR-15 lying around his Capitol Hill apartment when he lived here, told her if anyone broke in, he'd rape them to show he's dominant. Said he could be rough, and she described being grabbed by her shoulder. She described him pulling her arm as she was refusing to get out of a car.
He had shameful parts of his life. Then he came back. He started an oyster farm. He was on the ocean for years. He found himself. I will say I got that call wrong. And if there's some self-reflection, it is that we all need to see the signs earlier of people who may engage in domestic violence. Look, I wasn't the only one. You had Planned Parenthood. You had Senator Warren. You had the entire Democratic Party. But I did get that call wrong.
He didn't get the call wrong. Folks in the chat, are you buying this bullshit? Please tell me no. He didn't get the call wrong. He understood from the beginning this guy had a Nazi tattoo and a questionable past. You don't think congressional folks with their PACs and their coordinated lobby efforts understood how bad this guy was? He knew the whole time. He's full of shit. He didn't get the call wrong. I promise you, if Plattner's polls hadn't started to tank, he would be saying the same thing. This guy is a fraud, just like this Abdul el-Sayed character. This is the next disaster waiting to happen for the Democrats in Michigan. This guy is probably going to win the primary for a premier Tier 1 United States Senate race in the state of Michigan. He is a huge problem. This guy cavorts around with a bunch of anti-American lunatics, has a questionable past himself. This guy, some of his comments in the past are abhorrent, and he's another fraud too. Washington Free Beacon just put up the story about this guy. So here's Badia Ungar Sargon. She's been on the show before. She says, tremendous reporting from the Free Beacon. Medicare for All candidate Abdul el-Sayed's millionaire wife doesn't accept any insurance at her medical private practice. And you already know he's going to blame while lying to his team. AIPAC, the Jews did it. Here's the Free Beacon report. Now, listen, I trust their reporting, Colin Anderson. It's not our reporting. But this doesn't strike you on the stupid path like, hey, man, that's not a tassel. He's walking down the path going, look at my gorgeous robe while he's sitting there naked. Here's my gorgeous robe. Medicare for all. Everyone should have government health care. The government's so great at doing health care and driver's licenses and everything else. Everyone should have it. Hey, your wife doesn't accept that. I'm not talking about me, bro. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you, Ro Khanna, walking down the road. We really got to go after these millionaires wearing his class warfare robe. Look at this. I'm a class warrior. And then he takes it off and they're like, hey, bro, it says tattooed on his chest, I'm worth $27 to $300 million. Everybody's like, look, that's not a tassel, man. That's not a tassel. Folks, these people are freaking frauds. Do you have that News Nation thing about Plattner and Kamala Harris, too, that I skipped over before? You play that one? This is important. I want to show you this, too. By the way, this doesn't only impact us, folks. I'm not trying to help the Democrats. They're beyond help. They're not listening. They're going, All they hear is Charlie Brown's teacher. I'm not trying to help these idiots. I'm just trying to warn you, like, these are dangerous candidates. We do not want to win primaries. These are dangerous candidates who want the destruction of the United States from the inside. We have to do everything in our power to stop it. Some may be saying, well, good, let him win. You know, he's the worst candidate in the race, and maybe the Republican in Michigan has a shot. Folks, no, that is not where this party is going. They've gone full psychopath. And to the Democrats out there, they don't care about you either. This whole Plattner race, right? You would think they would have learned from the Kamala Harris debacle that when you try to shove a substandard candidate down people's throats like Kamala Harris, the wheels on the school bus are going round. We don't want to be burdened by the mistakes of the people. You just said that 5 minutes ago. Oh, sorry, it's in the prompter. The woman was an idiot. You're the border czar. You haven't gone to the border. I haven't gone to Europe either. Are you the Europe czar? No, I'm not. So who gives a shit about you? That's not the question we asked you. Kamala Harris was legitimately stupid. Khan is not stupid. that DSA chair, New York City on Fox, isn't stupid. Plattner wasn't stupid either. Kamala Harris was genuinely dumb. So the Democrat Party at the time decided when spaghetti brains went down, they decided to shove Kamala Harris down everybody's throat. And even the Democrat voters didn't like it. She got absolutely destroyed. Now, you would think they would learn the... If you're missing a live show, you're missing an opportunity to win the weekly contest. You're also missing Justin's little thingies he throws in there. The school bus goes round and round. There it is. Sorry, everything goes in reverse. Can we do that one more time? I just want to see it one more time. It's got to go the opposite way. I need to. The school bus goes around. The Democrats hate it, and they're doing it again with Plattner. Democrats, listen to me. Stop being isolated from the truth and choosing stupid. Your party hates you too. They don't give a shit about what you think at all. They are going to shove a candidate down your throat in Maine, despite the fact you picked the other guy, however vile he was, and they don't care. They have learned nothing because they don't want to learn anything, because they choose stupid and they don't want to be told it's not a tassel. Check this out.
How do progressives and establishment Democrats avoid a messy internal battle over the replacement nominee with so little time on the clock?
Well, this is such an important race because I think a lot of people have pointed out the fact that this looks reminiscent of what happened in different ways, but with Kamala, that somebody was basically suggested and ordained into an opportunity without there being a runoff and a race and a proper voters' opinion on who should be the person. I mean, the voters did pick Graham Plattner, and unfortunately, all the surrounding drama led him to dropping out of the race.
They don't care. Democrats, I'm not your friend. We're pretty clear on that, correct? But to sane Democrats out there, it's a shrinking crew, but they're still there. I'm not your enemy either. I'm a citizen like you are. Do you understand? Your party hates you too, correct? We've had our own revolt within our party on principles. It was called the Tea Party Rebellion, and it actually worked. It dragged our party back to sanity. You claiming, like some people have on the left, well, this is our own Democrat version of a Tea Party. Bullshit. We actually have some successes. We had the BCA, which led by the way, the Tea Party was the precursor to the MAGA revolution. Passionate grassroots back, more attention to working folks. We still have people in Congress. We still have Rand Paul. We have Ted Cruz. We have Mike Lee. We have others. We have a lot of House of Representatives members. This is a rebellion for what? Fake tassels, if you know what I mean? Because nothing you say is true. We just exposed you guys with the tweet. Every single idea you've gaslit your people into believing that some, big anchor moment for your party. Rich don't pay taxes. Cops are shooting a bunch of unarmed black men. It's all bullshit. That's not a revolution for truth. That's a revolution of lies. And to distract you, one of the tools they always use, what is it? Some of you in the chat know this is just, the suckers fall for it every single time. It's freaking exhausting exposing this stuff. The second people start to wake up and start to look things up, really, did the Democrats, was their party founded on destroying slavery? No, their party was determined to keep slavery. All of a sudden, you see this wake-up moment that happened. Donald Trump did this. He broke a lot of people from the doldrums out there, brought them out, and shook them, and they finally, their eyes opened up, Clockwork Orange style. What happens after that? The Democrats always cry the same thing. What do? Yes, who just said it? Squatch Mom. You're a race. They do it every time. And suckers fall for this. Stupid people fall for this. There it is. We're racist. No dims here. There you go. This is why I love the show. It's like a big interactive voice, like a big family here. Here's Representative Gabe Vasquez claiming that outdoor spaces in the United States, outdoor spaces, like Yellowstone and stuff like that, been in the news. You saw the whole bison video with the guy. I hope that guy's okay, man. And don't mess with the bison. I've been to Yellowstone. Don't get up close to wildlife. It's just never a good idea. I made that mistake with the bear thing. I told you the story the other day. Folks, anybody can go to Yellowstone. There's no sign up at the front, white people only. I checked. Justin, I'm pretty sure it'd be illegal, correct? not to mention unethical, highly immoral, and very evil. I haven't seen that. Have you guys been to Yellowstone or any national park? Andy, you ever seen only white people outside? You have not. He's like, no, I haven't seen that. Haven't seen it. That doesn't matter. Here's Rep. Gabe Vasquez. This is how you keep people on the stupid path. Fork in the road. Don't be stupid, be stupid. How do so many people wind up on the stupid path? Because they're angry. Because they're told that outdoor spaces are just too white. This was a real thing. This actually happened. Check this out.
Spaces that have been traditionally white will no longer be white. Secret spots will no longer be secret. And hunters and anglers and hikers and everybody in between will look different. And so not only should you be okay with that, not only should you tolerate that, but you should embrace that. And you should welcome a new set of outdoor users with open arms.
Is anybody not embracing a set of outdoor users with open arms? I mean, this guy just made this problem up. This is like a new problem we're going to have to put in our stupid shit libs. That Black, Hispanic, Asian people and minority groups somehow don't like outdoor spaces? Folks, I want to say something so bad. Yeah, Justin's like, I campaign for office. He said an outdoor space. All right, it's a green screen. Robert Reich. I campaigned for office. I like to do stuff, okay? I'm like a nomad. I bounce around. I ran for office. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. It didn't work out, but I really did. I loved it. I met so many people. I learned so much about other people and myself. You run for office, stir your name on a ballot, good for you. Either party. It takes a lot of balls to do that, right? I campaigned in Maryland. The state of Maryland, you can look it up yourself, don't take my word for it, has a really significant large population of minority voters, both Black and Hispanic. Baltimore, Prince George's County, other counties around Maryland. I went to a ton of outdoor spaces on weekends. Get-togethers, barbecues. They had like sorority, fraternity things where they would throw out they would let people like talk, even though they were, or like get-togethers like college alumni associations. Folks, I promise, they were not all white. Like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. It's like the people who say stuff like this, like Rep. Gabe Vasquez, has he ever actually been out campaigning? How did he win his seat? I could give you, where's that? You guys have never met this guy. Brandon, you know who you are. He was one of my best campaign volunteers. You can vouch for me on this, correct? We went to a ton of outdoor events with people in outdoor spaces. Okay. Don't be stupid. Stupid is a choice. You don't have to make that choice. You can make the choice. I don't want to be dumb. All right, folks, switching gears, but this is really important. I want to get to this story, especially given my background on this. The magnitude of leaks emanating from people who, like ticks, have still buried themselves in the administration. They're not easy to find. They're not impossible, but they're not easy to find, because what happens in the federal government is a lot of people have access to information, sometimes in the thousands. Now, as the information makes itself up the hierarchy and a limited number of people see it, obviously the more sensitive information is, the less people see it. I mean, it's fairly obvious. It's a little bit easier to figure out who may have done it. However, when you get to information that's national security information and is pretty widely disseminated, it's really difficult to find out who leaked it. The leak about President Trump and the flight back home on Air Force One from Turkey was inexcusable. And people are sincerely pissed about it and should be. Who knows what else leaked out? Was like the countermeasures on Air Force One leak out too? Like, this is a really serious story. This, I think, is going to be the line going forward, where within the bounds of the Constitution and the law, they're going to have to go all in on this, because you can't have this information. And the reason I bring it up is Secretary War's been doing a great job. He's pretty pissed off too. Secretary Pete Hegseth, he put out a video yesterday about a new task force. They're starting with the FBI about this specific stuff, leaks of national security information from the military. It's about time. It's definitely about time. Like this. It's going to be a lot of effort. It's going to take up a lot of manpower, but you can't run a government like this. Check this out.
It's critical that we provide the Department of Justice and other partners in federal law enforcement, including the FBI, with actionable information as quickly as possible. And that's why the Department of War and the Department of Justice have created a joint task force to identify and prosecute leakers. I'd like to thank Acting Attorney General Blanche for his help in this important project. I'm proud that our departments are working together closer than we have ever before, committing manpower and new resources to protect our warfighters and their operations.
We were doing this for a while. I know with the Pentagon, with far more employees, it's really, really difficult. I get it. You know, the media has been beating up Cash forever and attacked us too for, you know, going after leakers early. We just don't care. Like, we're not interested in your opinion. There's sensitive information. Then you're not an authorized media representative. The rules are clear. By the way, Pete's been doing an amazing job. The Pentagon and the Department of War is a huge, huge enterprise. Huge enterprise. And I vouched for Pete early. I think he's doing an amazing job. And I'm going to tell you, we've been talking about the Republican bench. The Democrat bench is absolute shit. We got Ro Khanna, total garbage. AOC. I mean, these people are just idiots who chose stupid a long time ago. Gavin Newsom, hair gel guy. I mean, these guys have run in a failed state of California. J.B. Pritzker running the failed state of Illinois. People can't get out of there quick enough. Like, their bench is really thin, right? Our bench is fantastic. You got Pete out there. Pete's name doesn't come up that much, and I have not addressed politics with him at all. He's busy. I don't like call him, hey, Pete, how do you feel? But I think Pete Hegseth is kind of like one of the, I think Scott Bessent's another one, like with these kind of ninjas in the administration, ninjas with politics, where if they wanted to come out and run, they could make a real dent. Pete's one of them. You saw yesterday another just incredible moment this is the reason I bring this up in terms of Hegseth's leadership in the new Department of War under President Trump. Folks, we work with them a lot on a lot of things, counterintelligence, counterterrorism cases. They're obviously the action arm of our military, obviously. So we had a good relationship with the Department of War over there. We would meet with them a lot. There are tons of change agents over there Pete brought in. And one of the things you saw yesterday, play this on VO if you could, the use of unmanned, basically underwater drones, or in this case, on-water drones. Did you see this video against this Iranian base? Folks, this is the kind of stuff. They moved at light speed, man. When I was there, like the whole drone thing, whether they were underwater, whether they were in the aerial, whether it was land-based drones, I mean, they are moving at light speed. And I'm going to tell you, as the enemies of the United States proliferate and start mouthing off and screaming death to America more and more, if they want to unleash hell, they will. And it's not going to end well for you, because he's just showing you a sliver of what they're capable of. Another rock star in the administration is Rubio. Folks, I've warned you over and over, do not fall prey to this dumbing down of the United States and our constitutional republic, the finest governing system in the history of planet Earth, into this globalist bullshit. Well, we should submit ourselves to things like the International Criminal Court. That's some bullshit right there, to get some crazy communist in whatever, some Kraplakistan country judging our soldiers for a war theater exercising. No thanks. That's a stupid choice that'll result in the destruction of the United States. We're not about the International Criminal Court, because we have courts. They're called U.S. courts, and the military has its own system of justice. I told you, Rubio's been kicking ass and taking names too. Check out this piece in the Wall Street Journal. Now he's like, you know what? With this ICC, you can take it and stick it up your ass. Justin's like, that's not really in the title. Well, it's close. Wall Street Journal opinion, Marco Rubio. Why we're dismantling the ICC. America never agreed to a world tribunal that can override our own courts and the Constitution. Yes, Marco Rubio. Yes, Marco Rubio. Thank you. You are correct. Why would we submit ourselves to the Kraplakistani system of justice? Why would we do that? The answer is only stupid people would do it, because they believe in a dumbing down egalitarianism, that we should all be equally tyrannical and stupid. No, we shouldn't. You do that on your own. Bernie Sanders, you want to submit yourself to judgment to the Pakistani ICC member? Go ahead. Have fun, brother. Leave the United States, renounce your citizenship. Say, I want to subject myself to the ICC. I'm not doing that. And neither are members of our military putting their asses on the line overseas, having to worry about the Pakistani guy at the ICC. No good. Should I play this video next? It's kind of... Hey, just so we're clear, I debated playing this, but it is the All-Star game tonight. I got Ami Kozak coming up in a minute. Great interview. I really debated playing, but it's a make America kind of funny again moment, but it's not funny, but I can't stop laughing at it. So I think this may be an indictment of me. I may be showing some character flaw here, and unlike most hosts that lie to you and tell you how great they are all the time, I just got to tell you the truth. I couldn't stop laughing about this last night. I said this to the guys. The All-Star games tonight, I love baseball. But you know, when you're playing baseball, you got to be very careful, especially about the tassel. You like how I fit that in there? You know what I mean? It kind of hurts if you get hit in the tassel region, especially with a baseball that feels like a freaking rock. I feel really bad for this guy, but I got to tell you, I laugh. I shouldn't laugh, but I did. This poor umpire. Check this out. Listen to the sound effects. Oh, gets hit in the nuts right there by a foul ball one time. Oh, he gets hit again. This poor guy. This poor guy. Someone give him a cup. Here he is. This is not a replay. This is the third. Look at this. Listen to the sound. Oh my gosh. Stop laughing. It's not funny. It's not, sir. I'm not. This is not this poor guy. What are the chances? What are the chances? Getting. No Mutleys. No, this is not the time. I have to be a responsible show host. I'm forbidding Mutleys in the chat. Now, because, of course, I can't forbid anything because this is a show that believes in free markets, capitalism, constitutional republican representative. Of course, Streisand effect says no Mutleys. You're going to get a quadrillion Mutleys in the chat. It's not funny. It's not funny. Sir, we wish you well. We wish you well. I hope the tassel region. Why you put Robert Reich? What the hell does he have to do? Things like this Robert Reich clip right there, they just randomly inserted. I got Ami Kozak. Wait. Oh, producer Jim's texted me right now. Jim, it's not hilarious. He just texted me. It's not. This is not funny, Jim. But remember the old days, Jim, when they had the umpire thing they had out with the shield? They would hold the shield. Someone get that guy a shield, man, please. That third time he was like, oh man. I also have for you today, because you know this show, we laugh, we cry sometimes, hopefully not often. We debunk liberal bullshit. But we also like to make you healthy again, too. I haven't played one of these in a while. Dr. Rhonda making an appearance. I told you about these exercise snacks. You want to stay healthy, you got to get up and move. Here's our Make America Healthy Again moment of the day just for you. You know we love you guys. Check this out.
We see that people that do 3 minutes of it, the 3 minutes of this breathless, so it could be walking uphill for 3 minutes. It could be playing with your tag with your grandkids for 3 minutes, right? 3 minutes, 3 times a day. So we're at 9 minutes a day. This is where I get the 10 from. We're at 9 minutes a day. Those individuals have a 40% reduction in cancer-related mortality, 40% reduction in all-cause mortality, and a 50% reduction in cardiovascular-related mortality. This is even in people that are not identifying as going to the gym and exercising. If you were to ask them, do you exercise? They would say no, because they don't count those moments. They don't count when they're playing tag with their kids or grandkids. They don't count when they're, going fast up the stairs to get to work, but it does count. Exercise and the way our body adapts to this exercise doesn't matter if you go to the gym or not, right? It just matters that you're doing it.
Our guys do it. Everybody jumps into the 100 squats a day. Check with your doctor for when anyone having a heart attack, okay? I'm just telling you, you got to move. The body was designed to move. You don't move, it's like rust. You're like the Wizard of Oz, the Tin Man. You got to get the oil out. You got to move, man. You got to move. I'm trying to keep everybody healthy and laughing a little bit. Jim never texts me during the show. You must have really liked that. All right, you guys got our comment of the day. You know we have our 1776 club. We just want to give away money because we love you. That's it. No nefarious agenda at all. We're not communists that take people's money. We just give ours away. 1776 Live Club, Bongino.com/1776. If you want to read all the rules, you just have to be here live for the live show. A comment of the day selected every day, entered into a weekly sweepstakes where we give away the money. Still, we're vetting last week's listener winner as we speak. Today's comment of the day is Secretary of War and the Secretary of Riz, although you missed the two. You got to throw the two Z's in the Riz. The Secretary of Riz. So we now have the Riz captain, correct? President Trump. The Riz lieutenant. I know, we're like totally bogarting, like the kids, the 18 and 20-year-olds, their language now. Whatevs, man. It's like short for charisma. We have our Riz lieutenant in Secretary Rubio. And now you've got the Secretary of Riz, Hegseth. He's had the Riz for a while. I've known Pete for a long time. Very charismatic guy. We love Pete. There you go. There's our comment of the day. Last sponsor here. Take a quick break, and then we're going to get to our guest, Ami Kozak. Guy's hilarious. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about the grifters out there, too. The grifting and the grifting bums and what's the difference between the bots and how to see it. So it's going to be a good interview. Check that out. Hey, the stakes couldn't be higher right now. We finally have a country fighting hard for America first. But we can't lose focus because you know what happens. The left is out there just getting ready to marshal forces again. And the second they can, they're going to go right back to the censorship stuff. And a lot of these woke companies are going to follow along. Let me tell you about the anti-woke company. It's a Christian conservative wireless provider I use called Patriot Mobile. They love you. They love our movement. They have been vocal about it. Even under tough times, they were still vocal about it, probably at great expense to themselves. Patriot Mobile offers premium priority nationwide service on all three major U.S. networks. They offer unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and 100% U.S.-based customer service support. You can switch in minutes while keeping your phone and keeping your number. Paula did it for both of our phones. I love this Patriot Mobile service. It has rescued me many times in bad service areas. I have a couple services on my phone. Patriot Mobile is my anchor. Patriot Mobile isn't just talking about saving America. They're putting their mouths behind the business every single day. They support their movement, support the movement today by switching to Patriot Mobile. I can vouch for them. Have them on my phone. Service is fantastic. Go to patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT. Use promo code Dan for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT to make that switch today. You know, I always say again, I'm excited about all the interviews. We don't do a lot, so I only try to bring you the best guests. And I got to tell you, this guy has been just an absolute, just a feast for me of laughter, and I need it in these really challenging times. Ami Kozak, follow him on X, at Ami, AMIKOZAK, across all platforms. He's got some touring dates coming up for stand-up. Folks, I'm telling you, if you want to smile, listen to him. Ami, welcome to the show.
Good to be with you, Dan. Thanks for having me, sir.
So I found you on X. Someone sent me a clip. You were doing a Tucker and I was like, my gosh, like that is an eerie imitation. And then you did the Dan Bongino, which I got to tell you, Ami, I thought was amazing. And let me tell you what happened. I'm sitting there and I don't know, I'm like brushing my teeth or something. You know how on X and other platforms on the For You page, it just auto scrolls. So I don't know what I was listening to, but I hear this other clip and I'm not really paying attention. I'm like, wow, I don't remember saying any of that. Like, is that me? And it was you doing my voice. My wife didn't think it sounded like me. I thought I did, but have you always, is this like some talent you've had since you were a kid or something? Because it's really eerie.
The rumor is that people at Turning Point USA put out an AI-generated video of you using me. So that's what the conspiracies believe.
The Jews did
believe.
It. The
Jews did it. I've always done it. Yeah, I mean, ever since I grew up in a family that was very supportive of comedy in like the Borscht Belt, Catskills, Jewish community, which you do a lot of shtick. You imitate your parents' friends, community leaders, teachers, all that kind of stuff. So at a very young age, I started goofing around, imitating people, and I would kind of channel their personas and get a massive reaction. And I'd be like, wow, there's some kind of mutant superpower going on here. And I have a pretty good musical ear. I'm musically trained, and visually you kind of get a sense of what, everyone's got their own little key signature and style. And I was always able to crack that at a very young age. And it's done well for me.
No, it's incredible. I've had so many people send me your content. You got to get this guy on the show. I'm like, I know. I thought of it before you. I'm like, I found his stuff. He's incredible. You know, one of the reasons I think it's important though is, listen, there's a lot of very serious things going on. You and I get that, whether it's healthcare policy, you know, the conflict in Iran, geopolitics, tax policy, economics, inflation. Like, it's all serious stuff, and we all treat it seriously. However, it doesn't hurt to, like, when you talk about liberty, as was said to Walter Williams, like, talk about it with a smile, like, laugh once in a while too. But in the world of politics, as Saul Alinsky, the dreaded Saul Alinsky, is noted, but he's accurate, humor is a powerful weapon, because there's no natural comeback for it. And anyone who tells you when they're being poked fun at, they like it outside of a roast maybe, is probably bullshitting. So it's a really powerful weapon to get people off, and you use it like a surgical scalpel.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny, the impression I did of you was just somebody requesting it on the spot. So I hadn't really done it, you know? I kind of had a little bit of your range, style. It's like these people. Ridiculous people. You know, I started doing it like that, and then all of a sudden, there it is. New impression unlocked. So I was very happy about that. But I find that comedy has a way of being very revealing and clarifying, because laughter, in a way, is a form of agreement, subconsciously, because people do it involuntarily. And we live in a world where, you know, everybody's reacting to things and giving takes, but comedy shows, it doesn't just tell. You know, and in the commentariat, everyone's talking and giving, different takes on things, different opinions on things, and making persuasive arguments or not such persuasive arguments. But the reason comedy is so persuasive is it shows you, not just tells you. It's revealing something. And if you're laughing at it, in a way, even if it's an exaggerated form of something, you're revealing something that is somewhat resonant and true. And whether you hate the person doing it or disagree with their actual politics, if you're laughing, you're conceding the point.
Yeah. And what you do through your bits, which again are really funny. He's at Ami Kozak with a K. Go check it out, please. It's worth your time on X. What you do better than anyone is, I think you expose, using humor, this problem we have with this invasion of our movement. Now, the left has never believed anything that's true. There's the page up right there for those of you watching live. The left, we did a segment earlier in the show, stupid things liberals believe. You know, black men are being mowed down by the thousands by cops. You know, the richest 1% pay zero tax. Like, you can just look this up, dipshits. Like, you can look it up. Like, it's not real. You can argue about the rate they pay, but that's just not real. And it drives me crazy. But okay, see, I get a little nuts. It's like masks prevent COVID. I say all the time, like, if the mask was a condom, it'd be like every woman you had sex with got pregnant and you're still wearing, like, it doesn't work as a freaking prophylactic. Stop believing stupid shit. What bothers me is people on the right, or claim to be part of our movement, are using this inversion of logic technique that's used on the left all the time, where you have an answer. Like this, a bank was robbed in Martin County. We know who did it. We have video. We have DNA. You've taken a sea of facts and got an answer. The inversion of logic is flipping it on its head, taking the answer and introducing a bunch of irrelevant, stupid, unrelated facts and confusing people. When you use humor, though, to expose that, it hits even worse, because you realize the silliness of the whole thing. Sorry for the long-winded intro, but no, that's important.
I totally agree. I think it's I think that's why the term woke right is actually very appropriate, because essentially they're both using the same mechanism of, you know, disregarding evidence and having conclusions that they've already drawn, and then looking for anything in a narrative that can support said conclusion. So both sides on the woke left and the woke right are operating based on a narrative. The woke left has decided society is racist. We live in a patriarchy, colonization, apartheid, all these kind of like buzzwords they use. And then they look for any story that supports such a narrative and ignore, say, all the white people who've been killed by police or anything that goes against that, because they've already got a conclusion. They've got a narrative they're sticking to. They've got a script. And on the woke right, it's the same thing. It's not controlled by white men. It's controlled by Jews. And any which way we can find, whether it's something that may be a true statement or an observation that can support a set conclusion, they're not using evidence to arrive at a conclusion. They've arrived at a conclusion first and use any kind of random little tidbits of information to support or come up with a pattern or come up with a narrative. And that's why it's the exact same tactic and really framework by which they view the world on both sides. They have a certain set of conclusions, a certain lens by which they view everything through, and so they'll just find anything that can support that, rather than what logical, reasonable people do, which is look at a bunch of evidence and arrive at a conclusion, whether it's a convenient one or not. And so they're just using the same MO, the same tactics, and like you said, like evidence to the contrary is disregarded. It doesn't matter. So they really don't. They're operating purely based on emotion, based on something that they feel is, a convenient excuse not to take accountability for their own failings, their own life. And I think what happened on the right was that, for a long time, the right was united around being anti-left, defeating the libtards, defeating the craziness of the woke left. And then what they did was they used that victory, and now the victories of the culture with free speech. And now what do? Now you actually have to, Jordan Peterson used to say, you have to bloody clean your room, and better clean your room before you go out and try to change the world. It's like, well, but the problem with that is when you win, then you have to look to yourselves and say, okay, I can't scapegoat the left anymore for my problems, or the oppressive free speech tyrants who are trying to hold me back. Now I can say whatever I want. So now I actually, instead of just rights, I have responsibilities. What do I do in that case? And most people, when it's a choice between blaming themselves and blaming others, they seldom blame themselves, and taking accountability is hard. So they have to look for the next thing they can challenge, the next enemy, the next thing to go against the grain. And you can't go left because you fought them for so long, so you just go further right and find the next sacred cows you can't talk about, and it's the Jews. And so it's just now an evasion of responsibility. Cuts both ways on the left and the right,
And you know what kills me about this is, I know you do comedy and stuff, but we both know like where this goes, there's nothing funny about. Like this is, the Jews did it, the blacks did it, the Hispanics did it, the Asians did it. I mean, we've seen, it's not like you can't just crack a freaking textbook and go, hey, has this ever happened before? The mass extermination of people based on collective guilt? Nah, really? Try chapter 1 of a 50 chapter. I mean, really, bro, seriously? Yeah. Like, this is like, we know where this goes. And that's why, I've dedicated my life and my show to stopping all this bullshit. And I'm glad most people in our movement do. It's a very small pocket. There's a lot of bot stuff out there. It's not all bots, but it is. And the latest example of this inversion of logic and reason we've seen, a guy I can't stand, I'm just being candid about it up front. I'm going to tell you, I'm not even pretending to be objective here. Ro Khanna is the biggest phony in Congress. He may not be the worst congressman. You've got AOC. It's tight. It's tight. Every year, like he's always up there in like the final four of morons. But he's definitely the biggest fraud. He puts on this like bipartisan moderate act, and he's totally full of shit. Goes over to Israel. He's like, oh my gosh, look at what happened. The Israeli ambassador comes out, lists out like, hey, man, typically in our country, you coordinate with it, like you would in any country. Like no one just randomly shows up here and just like walks into some sensitive military. It's just so ridiculous. You did a little thing on him the other day, but this guy drives me freaking crazy. Total inversion of logic.
Yeah, and I think what's going on is, on the Democratic side where, the sad thing about what's going on the right is that in that victory that's kind of being squandered with the infighting and people who aren't able to like act on principle, and the people who are abusing free speech and confusing the ideas of just because now we're more free culturally to say what we want doesn't mean there's non-judgmentalism. Free speech goes both ways. But with all that infighting, the left is very focused on political victory. And they're succeeding at the local levels. DSA is making strides and victories. You have the people are looking and seeing sort of the extreme versions of the left, the Marxist Mamdani types, and they're saying, okay, we got to focus here. So there's this virtue signal going on where they're presenting it as bravery to be able to stand up to Israel, so they can appeal to the Marxist left that detests Israel and America and the West, but they're saying, look, I can stand up to them, but really it's a form of cowardice in the face of the worst elements of their own party. The same thing happened with Rahm Emanuel recently, where he's like, look, I can stand up to Israel too, so you can vote for me. I won't be, just a coward in the face of Israel doing Israel's bidding. I can stand up to them. But what that really is an admission is I'm too scared to stand up to the worst elements in my own party. So I'm going to say, hey, whether it's Ro Khanna or all these other people who are trying to say like, no, don't hate me, hate them. I'm with you guys. Even though I'm a rich, elitist, classic legacy politician, like, it's sort of like the the teacher who's begging the students to love them. You know, the substitute teacher comes in and says, pick me, trust me, I'll be on your side. I'll be on your side. I'm just as woke Marxist as you are, even though I'm worth $240 million. So I'll make up and manufacture some drama in Israel so I can look like some crusader who's on the same bandwagon as the people who celebrated on October 8th after October 7th in the streets. Rather than calling those people out and drawing clear lines in the sand, the left is kind of doubling down, and they have a very much easier time sort of collectivizing because they're all into that whole revolutionary Marxist spirit. So they're all going to get behind one single idea, which is anti-Israel, anti-Western, anti-America in a way. And that's what he's trying to appeal to. So under the guise of looking brave in the face of Israel and the democratic support of Israel historically to stand up to that, he's actually being a total coward in the face of, really anti-Western, not just anti-Israel, anti-Western, anti-American elements in his own party. And they don't want to face that on the Democratic side. So they're trying to make it seem like, okay, we'll go this way. I wonder how it'll work in the long run. But they're very politically focused, and they've always been wussies in the face of their own demographics of their own party because they're so desperate for polling and winning and victory. So the older Democrats are trying to be like, we're cool like you guys, like you young guys. Yeah, I can hate Israel too. Let's do it, And
the almost like tragically comical part of this whole thing is, I hear some critics of mine, and believe me, I got a lot of them, and they'll say, oh, well, you just don't want to be critical of Israel. I'm like, brother, like, just go look at my show. Like, I've done, remember that whole thing we used to do on Ehud Barak? How Ehud Barak would talk about like leftist organizing. I mean, we did entire segments exposing leftism in Israel. Like, I don't get it. That's just totally made up. It has nothing to do with geopolitics. It has everything to do with collective guilt. By the way, on my life, I would make the same argument if you said that about Black Americans. Like, Black American, I don't like, well, wait, do you know every Black American? No, you don't. So you don't actually know what you're talking about. You met one guy and you're extrapolating from one interaction about an entire group of people because of the melanin level in their skin. That doesn't work any different because of people's choice of faith. I've been very critical of that. There's a very strong leftist movement in Israel that's quite dangerous, even in their own country, but dangerous to ours too. That's a legitimate criticism. But notice I don't go like, damn the Jews. Like, that's just for stupid people. Now, just kind of segueing to this because it is related. You and I are on social media a lot. We probably do a lot of scrolling, show prep, and all of this. You have to. It's our business now. We have to know what people are thinking and where they are. Not all, but a lot of this is a grift. People ask me all the time, like, how much of this is bots? I don't know, 25, 30%, not all of it. I hate when people say Twitter isn't real life. No, it is. It's not 100% real life, but I promise you, there are very real people who really are driven by hatred and other things. But you and I are there a lot. A lot of this is a grift. There are certain things, like if you were to post tomorrow, I'm Ami Kozak, I hate the Jews. I promise you, like, you would get a coordinated series of "We love you" Ami responses. A lot of it is a grift. But you see it, correct? A lot of this is a grift. You probably see it on social like I do, the coordinated response stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's interesting, especially what you said about, people coming after you like, oh, you just don't want to be critical of Israel. There's such an evasive maneuver there and something so disingenuous about as if the people criticizing you for that have only just been critical of Israeli policy. It's like, give me a break. You guys, what Israel's up against is annihilation surrounded by radical jihadist regimes that want to seek its destruction. People who are like internal within Israel and external. All these different regimes and entities that want to destroy it, plus people in the West that want to see it dismantled and destroyed. And you defend against that. And suddenly it's like, well, why don't you criticize this set policy? Because we're not having the same conversation. It was as if like there was a person who was just being targeted in the street, and people were trying to kill this person on all levels, at every level, constantly on all sides. And you defended against that. And you're like, hey, how come you're not criticizing his ideas? And you're like, well, because the stakes are a little different. Yeah, I can criticize his ideas. That's for a separate context and a separate conversation. There's no one more critical of Israel than Israelis who live there. But what you're defending against is what we're all defending against, is like a country's right to defend itself, a clash of civilizations, civilized people versus barbarism. So when you defend civilization, somehow you don't want to be critical of their policies. Being critical of their policies is a display of civilization. They're at war right now with something else. And so we're trying to protect a country's ability to be self-critical, to be free, to be democratic. And so it's so disingenuous when people try to point to, look who doesn't want to be critical of Israel. You guys aren't being critical of Israel. You're seeking its destruction. That's not criticism. That's genocidal, radical jihadist language and talking points and manipulation. But back to your point about Twitter in real life. I mean, listen, I find it fascinating that the more these people double down and triple down and get possessed by this country the size of New Jersey in the Middle East, you prove our point, that you're singularly obsessed with blaming Israel for all of these problems, for framing it as Israel dragging America into all these things, as if a country of 9 million people can control a country of 300 million people, the strongest country and economy and military the world's ever known, and you're saying it's the tail that wags the dog. I mean, you prove our point. The people who are Israel first are Israel's critics and haters, not its supporters.
Yeah, it's all they talk about. We're talking to Ami Kozak. Ami's house is his podcast. He's at Ami Kozak across all platforms. Has some touring dates coming up, so stand by for that. You brought up a good point, though, there that I've addressed with my audience for the last 10 plus years we've been doing this show. You said there are some of these people you're going to negotiate with, whether it's about Israel, the Jews, tax policy, tax the rich, DEI stuff. A lot of these liberals, as we addressed earlier in the show today, they just believe stupid shit because they want to. It's not a lot of people, but there's always been a small subset of the human population that will drink the Kool-Aid. It doesn't really matter that the Kool-Aid's poison and the 10 people prior have died. They're convinced that when they drink it, they're going to go meet the unicorns or whatever. It's a small subset of people, but they're there. So you brought up debating these people is useless. You're really not going to change their mind. But I think the reason you and I still do it, I don't want to answer it for you though, is there's always a third party listening. That's the purpose of your podcast and mine. That's the collective third party. And when they see the reason, I think you and I and the logic we just displayed, yeah, man, I've been very critical of Israeli politicians. I mean, brutally critical if you just watch some of my shows, especially the leftist ones. And I don't think by any means Benjamin Netanyahu's above criticism. It has nothing to do with that. I think third-party people hear that and they go, well, it's kind of reasonable. I could fact check that myself and just put in a search engine, Bongino, Barai. He's right. He's not kidding. He's clearly against collective guilt because it's used as a weapon to exterminate people. So that third-party listening is really important, but you're really correct in that you're probably not going to get through to the hard-headed leftist or just the collective guilt people because they just hate, and hate's a powerful motivator.
Right, and I think what it is, I mean, it's always ironic because, I mean, the one country and people you can't criticize seem to be, over the last 3 years, the most criticized, scrutinized people and state and nation state on earth, and Israel historically. UN, the most sanctions and condemnations in the UN is Israel. And they ignore every other regime and country on earth that's so much worse. So it's just a funny thing that these constant people who say you can't criticize Israel have built audiences, platforms, and careers off of doing just that. But what I will say is, in the internet theater, it's a more complicated, more nuanced thing because there's a lot of performative avatars of people that, they put themselves online, and people are some people are following it almost for the kind of sheer entertainment value of it all. You have your heroes, you have your villains. There's this thing they're watching, and it's a concentrated minority of people that can make a lot of noise. That's the power of social media. And you can manufacture this consent, this idea that look what everybody's agreeing on, look what's happening. You lift the hood and you find out that some of it's organic, some of it's manufactured. There's red pill account with this blonde with a cleavage that turns out it's based in Pakistan. So there's an element of that going on there. And there's this give and take. But I do agree with you that for the most part, I still am optimistic that there's a movable middle that is sort of watching all this rather impartially, because people who are taking care of their families and have jobs and responsibilities aren't following every last line of Tucker Carlson's most recent episode or stupid thing that Fuentes has thrown out there, or, they're not as engaged at that granular level. And we can kind of misread the room and say where Twitter is maybe a reflection of real life or a sort of warped exaggeration of things. And I still think you got to always tell the truth and speak the truth and combat this stuff, because it can, while it may be a concentrated minority and still a minority that might believe this nonsense, and sort of there are people who are sort of cult followers following it, that's enough to sort of really have, political consequences downstream in the culture and can change things. And then you can find a whole population of people finding themselves under bad leadership, bad policies, and a culture that's been poisoned. Even though not everyone was necessarily on board, even the majority, and that's happened historically time and time again. So you have to be on the front lines in combating it, and these concentrated minorities of people who are on the virtuous side and on the villainous side, social media kind of amplifies that. So yeah, for that movable middle that's seeing this, I always think, what's that? The moral arc in the end bends towards justice or truth. I forget the phrase, but at the end of the day, you keep telling the truth, and even when it's not popular, a lot of times there's this confusion. Well, Candace Owens is popular. Her show is growing. I'm like, so what? What does that have to do with what's true and not true? The appetites of people following this stuff, it's a lot of mommy sleuths sipping wine, watching a soap opera like serial killer drama. That doesn't tell me anything about the virtue of her show or the substance or the facts or like what's valuable about it. So people confuse virtue and popularity all the time. Everyone's after it a little bit in this space. We're all building audiences, but the question is, what are you building your audience around? And I think if you stick to building it around truth and integrity, in the long run, you win, even if you have short-term losses. And for them, even if they have short-term gains, in the long run, they lose.
I'm just an optimist, a hopeful optimist. I always have been. I probably said the same thing twice. Hopeful and optimism, the same thing. I almost did the Ibram Kendi definition. Like, what is racism? It's a racist thing. We play that clip on the show all the time. So forgive me for saying that, hopeful and optimism. However, it was really easy to gaslight people in the 60s and 70s and even the 80s when you had ABC, NBC, and CBS. And if Cronkite and Brokaw and Jennings and Brinkley and others didn't bring it up from in front of a national audience, it just didn't happen. So the way to gaslight people and get them to believe things that are incorrect, one of the components of it, in addition to lying, but lying confidently and lying often, is isolating people from the truth. That's getting, and again, this optimism I have is based on this. Twitter and these other platforms have a lot of downsides. Hey, even Rumble, you get people going and just say crazy stuff. I'm a free speech advocate. You're allowed to say crazy stuff. As long as you don't break the law, threaten people, whatever, it's basically fair game, correct? But it is really difficult to say crazy stuff now and isolate people from being exposed for saying crazy stuff. I mean, because of the ongoing trials I haven't had a role in it. I've stayed quiet. I think it's just the right thing to do and let the process play out. But it is getting more difficult to say increasingly crazy things like, the space lasers are going to zap us all without someone going out there and going, okay, do you actually have any evidence? Can you show us what you're talking about? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think these things come in waves, and at a certain point, like saying the craziest thing you could say was considered edgy and brave and cool. It was sort of like testing the new waters in a post-Trump 2024 election. It's like, hey, Elon bought Twitter. We're free now. We could say whatever we want. And so there's this adolescent growth phase that like the culture goes through where people self-correct for that and say, okay, before we couldn't say anything. We couldn't talk about any subject without being called a racist, sexist, homophobe, whatever. Everything was off limits. And now everything is on limits. Let's transgress. Let's be naughty. Let's say anything and everything. And if any criticism comes our way for holding such bizarre positions or saying such atrocious things, we'll just use the free speech card. Hey, free speech. Hey, free speech. So it was an abuse and a misuse of the principle, because free speech means we can criticize you back. You can't just have it your way. So I think there was but I think that's getting very tired. I think people are like exhausted with the benefit of the conspiratards and people who don't base anything in facts, logic, or evidence is eventually, like in the beginning, it seems edgy and crazy. Wow, you're onto something, touching all the third rails. I can't believe it. But when nothing ever materializes and you can't produce a shred of evidence or facts to back up what you said, now you've established a pattern of bullshit. And your credibility, it takes a little bit of time for credibility to wear out, because in the beginning, everyone can sort of say, what do you want? What do you know that we don't know? It turns out nothing. You just have dreams and make up things and are just off self-aggrandizement and audience capture and are just trying to do it for that reason. But it takes time for a pattern to establish by nature. So now they've seen the pattern. I think like it comes in waves. Everyone's like, okay, I think we need to get back to like, who do we really trust here? Who's actually providing material results, evidence that's making my life better? I went through that playful, crazy phase of saying whatever, and where did it leave me? It left me alone in my basement still, following a bunch of beta males online, live streaming a bunch of bullshit who have no wives, no family, no careers. Do I really want to model myself after that? A lot of the audience for this is like young kids who feel a little bit lost and disoriented in sort of right-wing victory. What do they do now? You know, it used to be you had a common enemy, and now, like, what do we do? And I remember like coming across some of these groypers at Amfest, and when you challenge them a little bit through the talking points and you debunk the script, they're kind of left saying, I'm like, you guys are all about being alpha males and successful and winning. And I'm like, and all you do is follow these people who demonize success and successful Jews, like, and say it's all exploitation. And, you know, it's the same thing that the left does. So people are going to have that kind of, you know, coming to the truth moment where they're like, I'm tired of this pattern of BS that's been like, you know, I kind of see through it. Eventually you start to go, okay, yeah. And they start to, I think, self-correct. Hopefully, that's my optimistic side, to say like, well, everyone's like, Candace has to stop. She has to stop. I'm like, keep going. Keep going, because you're doing
I
the
agree
work
with your
for
premise
us.
there, 100% that it does take time. You would think it would happen quickly, like you just say something so outrageous and people draw a red line and say enough, but it doesn't. I got to run, but I saw it with Rachel Maddow on MSNBC. Like, you can only tout the Russia hoax and Trump's tax returns and it's coming, like tomorrow it's coming. I've got you now, like we're almost there. You can only do that so many times, but you are correct. It is not a plus minus. There's a gradual kind of regression line, and eventually you get more people, and then you're just left with like only the hardcore, like, wow, that cherry Kool-Aid's really good, despite the dead bodies. Then you're only left with that crowd, and then you start to kind of, you know. Ami Kozak, Ami's House is the podcast. Check it out. You can follow him on X as well. Please do. He's a great guy. You're welcome back anytime. Thanks for making me smile a little bit in these sometimes challenging times. We really appreciate your time today. Thanks, buddy.
My pleasure. Thank you, Dan.
Folks, you can tune in every day to the show live. Of course, don't forget our 1776 Club. You know how that works. Join every day for the live show. You're eligible for our weekly prize, $1,776. You can check out the rules at our website, bongino.com/1776. We will, you know, our comment of the day. Follow Ami as well. Give us a follow also on rumble.com/Bongino if you want to watch on the web. You can also download the Rumble app. You can check out Haley at noon, rumble.com/Haley, and Vince Everyday. Justin's very proud of this, rumble.com/Bongino. Vince Everyday at 8 a.m., rumble.com/Vince. Thanks so much for tuning in, folks. We really appreciate it. I will see you back here tomorrow.
Hey there, I'm Vince.
I'm Haley Carania,
Host of Vince.
Host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my show right here
on the Bongino Report.
Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, weekday mornings.
Weekdays at noon. If you miss it, no worries. The show will always be
right here
and anywhere you find podcasts. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, Haley Carania here, host of Scrolling with Haley. My show is coming up right here on Rumble at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I cover breaking news, react to viral videos, go down conspiracy theory rabbit holes, and have a whole lot of fun. You are not going to want to miss a second of it. Live, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Rumble, rumble.com/Haley. I'll see you there.